Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Concern podcast, where we unpack political, socio-economic, and cultural stories shaping our world. I am Emmanuel Taban. Now, the president of the National Unity Platform, His Excellency Robert Chagulanyi, also known as Bobi Wine, is still in hiding. Since when the results of the elections were declared and when there was a raid on his home, he escaped and he's right now on a known location. It's not known where he is, but I think he's still within Uganda, but just his whereabouts, his location exactly is not known. He even recently spoke to BBC, he spoke to Al Jazeera, but he spoke to all these media houses while in hiding. And he said he can go home because the military and the police have actually taken over his home and he wouldn't risk at the moment, but he will decide when he will decide the time when to return back home, and that's what he said. But at the moment, he said his home isn't safe for him. And when he was speaking to Al Jazeera and BBC, there's one important thing that he said, and he said that, of course, we all know how the results of the elections turn out. Museveni was declared the president, and he's going to go for his 7th term and extend his 40-year-old rule in Uganda. And there's so many people, observers, and the president of the National Unity Platform himself, who said that the elections were not fairly conducted. There's a lot of ballot stuffing, pre-taking, and malpractices were organized. Opposition was shut down. The agents were arrested. Some of them were killed. And for such reasons, he said that the environment in which the election was conducted wasn't free and fair. And while speaking to BBC, Bobi Wine was asked whether he will contest the results of the elections through judiciary. He stated that he wouldn't take that step. He's not taking that direction because he doesn't have any confidence in the courts of the law or in the judiciary, because he's very quite sure that Museveni has captured all the institutions of the government. He has captured the Electoral Commission, and that some members of the Electoral Commission were even involved in pre-taking the ballots in favor of Museveni. He has taken over all institutions of government you could imagine, even the police, the military, like everything. And Bobi Wine said he is not going to take the direction of contesting these results in the courts of law. And he did that the same in the previous elections. When the results came out, he contested the results, he went on the court of law, but in the middle of the process, he withdrew the case because he said there was no confidence whatsoever in the judiciary, and he knows that the judiciary would never even rule in their favor. And instead of contesting the result, what Bobi Wine said is that he's going to call on Ugandans to take upon themselves to take charge and actually go on the streets and protest and call for the victory, contest the results, and just go on the street peacefully and protest about Museveni's declaration. This is what he called for. And in this video, I want to explain to you why it might be very hard for Uganda or for Ugandans to achieve any single thing through protest in Uganda. To me, it is impossible. I mean, I believe that there are countries on the continent where if the government tried to do something that is totally against them, I mean, they can go on the street and protest, and even if the government will apply some kind of force against them, but ultimately, at some point, they can still sustain that protest, but not Uganda. It is very hard to achieve any single thing through protest in Uganda, and I'll explain to you why. You know, the reason why it is going to be very hard to get anything through protests, just like I've said, in countries like Kenya, I mean, the government cannot do something that is terribly bad, and they will expect to walk away from it without the citizen holding them accountable. They will either come out and speak against this government daily, or they can even go and risk going on the streets and protest. We have seen this happen so many times. We have seen this happen even post the elections in 2022. It happened. So many Kenyans went on the street protesting about the cost of living. They went on the street protesting about the finance bill of 2023, 2024. And they've gone to the street against even the killing of one single citizen, a Juang. So, and I feel that Kenya, it's in a different class. But in Uganda, it is very hard to do the same thing, simply because, one, Museveni is in his sunset period. I would say if Museveni was a sun, he would be like around 7 p.m. And therefore, he wouldn't really mind doing anything terrible that would make him stay in power, and he wouldn't mind doing anything terrible to alienate or to eliminate anyone who pose a threat to his being in power. So what do I mean? If Ugandans attempt to go on the streets today, for instance, Museveni wouldn't even mind wiping all of them away. He wouldn't mind like just killing them, indiscriminate killing. It doesn't like, imagine that Ugandans go on the street and say they want to go and occupy State House, Nakasero. What do you think would happen? We will see deployment, a heavy deployment of UPDF like never been before, and these people will use live bullets on citizens. And they will literally kill all of them. And Museveni doesn't care. And worst of it is that in other countries, it's fair that maybe you see that the army is controlled by people who are friends to the government, to the president, but a little bit far from them. And sometimes these people will have the empathy, they have the sympathy on the citizens. But in instance, when we look at Uganda, the chief of defense forces, who is in charge of the army, in charge of the navy, in charge of the air force, the chief defense CDF, the chief defense, or what do you call it? The CDF of the country, who is in charge of all the armed forces, the military, the army, the navy, and the air force. He is the son to the president. And therefore, literally, this guy would do anything just to protect his father. And not only his son, even some top military officials, they are from his closest allies. And therefore, when we see a government that is desperate, such as the one in Uganda, which is ready to do anything to alienate people, to take them away on his way, it's very hard to do protest in Uganda. And I also feel that Ugandans are not such, they wouldn't really buy so quick the idea of going on the protest, because I think majority of Ugandans have really never tested anything that tests better than Museveni, because it has always been Museveni. For over 40 years, that is like over 80% of the population have never seen any other person apart from Museveni. So there's that kind of monopoly, that kind of like, you're just addicted to one thing you're used to, and since you're not exposed to how good other things could be, you just feel that this is the best thing because you used to so many years eating that. Just associating yourself with it. Like if it's food, you're eating this same thing for quite long and you've never tested anything, it becomes very hard for you. You become complacent. Like just you want to continue with the status quo. And majority of Ugandans will just, at the end of the day, even if the results didn't come in their favor, they just settle for it. They're going to settle for Museveni, and there's no any other way they can do about it. Had the Ugandans had previously had maybe a different president who probably might have done better than Museveni, and then in the subsequent period another person comes and does worse, they'll have that opportunity to do a comparison and say, Museveni was worse, but the person who comes after him was doing extremely fine, and then the one who comes after this is starting to be worse, and we have seen the impact of something good, so we are going to stand for something good. Because Uganda has never experienced a very different person apart from Museveni, and they are locked into that mind and thinking that it's only Museveni and he is doing well. So, it robbed them from that kind of exposure and comparison. So I believe that protest wouldn't really work so well for Ugandans. It is going to be very hard to achieve anything through protest, because Museveni will do everything possible to wipe out anyone who stands on his way, who pose a threat to his power. And Museveni literally will die in power. That is one thing for sure you should know. We might even see him the next president after 2031. We can still see him win it and just be the president and still dead. That is my take on it, guys. Thank you so much. Write down in the comment section what you think about Bobi Wine's decision of asking Ugandans to go on the streets to protest, if that is the right one or he is risking the lives of Ugandans. Write down in the comment section. Thank you, guys. Until next time. I'm Emmanuel Taban, and this is the Concerned Podcast. Before we close today's episode, here's a quick message from our sponsor, Wani.co. If you've been planning to build a website, but the cost has been holding you back, Wani.co makes it affordable and stress-free this time around. Whether you are an individual, a non-profit organization, or a business, One.co designs professional websites starting from as cheap as $250. Individuals can actually launch with a starter website of up to 7 pages and a free email, or choose an advanced option with unlimited pages, a professional portfolio, and branding support. For non-profit organizations, they can select flexible packages from basic websites to premium solutions with e-commerce features and ongoing support. And for business companies, One.co delivers company-ready website with hosting, staff training, and multi-link options and online stores. And the best part of it is actually that you can build your dream website within your budget. One.co is an affordable, accessible, and professional partner. And to get started, you can actually visit One.co or email them at info@one.co, or you can get in touch with them through their WhatsApp number at +12265043322. One.co proudly affiliated with Jobs to Apply. And if you're wondering of what I'm talking about, here are some samples of website created by One.co. You can see them right here.